sun is out, the GT4 is loud, and all is well with the world. I thought I'd just do a quick video, see as everybody else seems to be doing it. A sort of a living with video, as it were. So, living with a GT4. Now, this isn't my daily driver. I do have a very, very old, very long in the tooth, clapped out Audi A4 estate, which is a diesel, which I drive every day because I can't chuck 2 Labradors in the back of this, and I can't do tip runs in this. So, I do have to have a daily driver, a sensible daily driver. So that is what I do have. He was very close to me behind. Anywho, living with a GT4. So I get asked these questions quite a lot. How do you deal with it? Do you actually use it, or is it just a track toy? So essentially, it gets used on track an awful lot. 17, 18 months now, something like that. And it's done, I think, 11 or 12 track days. So it's done quite a lot of track work. Using it day to day, however, there are its pros and cons. But to use on the road, it's actually a fantastic balance. So, provided you don't turn the damper button on, you'll be absolutely fine. It's maybe a little harsh for Cornish roads, which is where we are now. This is where I live, actually. The roads are a little bit bumpy, there's quite a lot of potholes. Yeah, they're not exactly in the best condition, you could say. So in terms of convenience, so the comfort is kind of okay. The 918 bucket seats are tremendously comfortable, they really, really are. Only thing you have to watch out for is you have to make sure, you have to enter the car arse first. You have to make sure your arse is completely in, or the side of the bucket seat here, which is carbon fibre, will go up your arse, and it's not very pleasant, so you do need to make sure you are completely in. They are incredibly comfortable. I actually went in a GT3 to Belgium, to Spa specifically, and back in a GT3 with 918 bucket seats in it, and that was absolutely fine. Drove all the way there, no problems whatsoever. Smashed around the track for a couple of days, no problems at all. Then all the way back the next day in one hit, and it was absolutely fine. Felt absolutely fantastic. And funnily enough, at the time I had an M2 competition, got back from Belgium, immediately, I think it was a 9 or 10 hour drive, immediately into the house, dropped the keys off, picked up the keys to the M2, straight out in that. Half an hour I had backache. So these seats really, really are good. Day to day, there are a couple of things you have to look out for though in terms of using it if you are going to use it day to day. Chief of which is the ride height. It is low and there is no front lift. So the front splitter I have scraped a number of times. That's fine, just pull out on me, why don't you? The front splitter I have scraped a number of times getting in and out of simple places like driveways that aren't even that steep. So that is a bit of an issue. Happily though, front splitters to replace them are £280 a go. Now I know this is £280 is a lot of money, and you shouldn't have to replace your front splitter every 6 to 12 months or so. That being said, if you do want to replace them, it's not like most premium sports cars where something like a McLaren, where I think the front splitter, the carbon setup on the front of a McLaren is like 15 grand or something. This is £280 at the time of filming. I did check before I came out actually. So that's something you have to deal with, but it's kind of doable. They are plastic, they're not carbon fibre, so they do take the hit quite well. But you do have to make sure, that you're just being mindful of it really. Now the noise, using day to day with regards to how much noise is in here. Now, this is, this becomes an issue when you go to answer the phone. So the PCM system has a fantastic Bluetooth feature with it, as most cars do nowadays. No great shakes there. But if you are driving this car over, say, motorway speeds, obviously nobody sticks just to 70. But if you're on the motorway doing motorway speeds, it can be a bit of an issue. You do need to slow down a bit to answer the phone, which again, it's not a massive thing, but it is a bit annoying sometimes if you're in a rush, for instance. So, running costs. Now, to run, in terms of maintenance and consumables, now this will be a little bit biased because this car does an awful lot of track work and it gets driven hard, to say the least. So, servicing a year, it totally depends on where you go. You can go back to Porsche and have your servicing done, and I don't actually know the cost of that. However, if you go to a Porsche specialist, which, you know, this car's not in warranty anymore, it doesn't have to go back to Porsche, I don't have to pay Porsche tax on it. Porsche tax being when you go to a dealer and you pay £1 million for a cup of tea. It goes to a specialist to have all its work done. Give you an idea of running costs, it's done 38,000 miles-ish. 38,000 miles. It's just had a clutch, flywheel and set of back boxes. Now that came to, I believe, about £5,500, excluding big bills like clutch, flywheel and exhaust. So this had a small service not too long ago, and that came in at about £900. So it had some other little bits done to it whilst it was in at Williams Crawford being done. I can't recommend their service enough, to be totally honest with you. They are absolutely fantastic. You get a little video as well, shouldn't you, have a go. In terms of budgeting a year, when it comes to just normal things like routine maintenance and servicing, you know, normal stuff that you expect, you could probably expect a budget $2,500 a year, generally. You might get one or two odd bigger things which need to be replaced, but then again, if you're buying a car to use on track and use quite spiritedly, you need to expect those bills. It's not going to come for free. It's a fantastic car to drive, I must say. On long journeys, it's very, very comfortable. If you're in town or in traffic, like I'm currently in a little bit now, the clutch is okay. The clutch is not feather light. It's not heavy. It's not what you call heavy whatsoever. Very, very easy to use. This is a thing. So the hill holder system, in Porsches, a little bit older than this, I think is pretty crap. It holds on to the handbrake. It doesn't let you go until you're either revving the nuts off it or the clutch is pretty much all the way out. It's not calibrated right, I don't think. So my mum has a Boxster, actually, which is her daily driver, bless her, which is a 13 plate. The hill holder system in that is not up to the job. It is awful. But the hill holder system in this is actually fantastic. It's really, really good. You don't think about it. In some cars of this age, it can be pretty questionable, but this is absolutely fine. So I'm behind an S3 now, which wants to go, so we shall. Which brings me very, very neatly onto another thing you do need to take into consideration with the GT4, is that everyone wants to race you. So it's not a bad thing. It is a bit of fun. You've got to expect it if you've got a white car with stripes down the side of it, which sounds like this does, but everyone wants to race you. Now obviously racing on the road in the UK is something I would never do and you should never do because it is against the law. But driving spiritedly with others is absolutely fantastic and I recommend it wholeheartedly. Now, practicality, right, so this is actually a really, really good mark for the GT4. So, practicality, you have two boots. Because the engine is in the middle, you have a small boot at the back and the frunk at the front trunk. You can fit the mother of all Tesco shops in that trunk. I tell you, it's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So I can get in this car a really, really good weak shop and gym bag, for instance, in there as well, which you wouldn't expect of a car that's got a roll cage in it, it's got bucket seats, it's got, I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it's got harnesses fitted behind me as well, which by the way are pointless. They're totally pointless. I've never used them, but they're in there, they look cool, whatever. So practicality wise, it's actually pretty good. Inside, legroom, I've got plenty of legroom. Now I must explain, I'm a bit lanky, so as someone who is quite tall, being inside here, I have absolutely no worries in terms of how much space I have in the cabin. It's absolutely fine. I've got plenty of legroom. The seat, because they're 918 buckets, they don't tilt, so they're fixed. I think what the universal symbol is, I think it's something like that, or something. You know, they're fixed seats, which is fine, but they're set at the perfect rate, personally for me. If you want to change the inserts in the centers of the seat, you can. They just pop out, and you can buy new ones online. eBay's a great place for that, and you can pop them in if you want to change the sort of lumbar and so forth and things like that. Everything's very, very easy to use. what else do you say? I mean, it's a Porsche at the end of the day. They do things better than anybody. Oh, actually, the best thing about the interior are the cup holders. And I'll chuck some footage in there now of cup holders. They are the best cup holders in any vehicle, absolutely any vehicle. It's a real shame that the new 992 911 has lost the cup holder setup that it had in Porsches of previous generations. So, to sum up the GT4, from someone who's actually used one, this is a non-journalistic approach, this is genuine use. Someone who's actually used one in their life. So, overall, I don't think there's anything that comes close for the money. So this car was bought at the start of 2021, I must explain, which was when obviously cars were a little bit more sensibly priced. Now everything's £1 million, and you know, at the moment people are asking 30k overs for a new Range Rover, which is ridiculous. Anywho, for the money, I honestly can't think of anything that comes close to this car. I really, really can't. This car, I mean, the price of this car started with a 6, I must say. It is a bit of a high mileage one as far as they go. But in terms of what else you can get for the money, I just can't think of anything, to be totally honest with you. I mean, an M2 CS is now, they're 85 grand still, aren't they? 85 grand for ceramic brakes, they're 85 grand, I think. Now, I think this car is pretty much perfect, and when I say pretty much perfect, there's one thing which does occasionally bug you a little bit. Not so much on the road, but definitely on track, and that is the gearing. So, this car is geared, for the first 3 gears, it's geared incredibly long. First, second, third, maybe could do with a little bit shorter gearing. But apart from that, I think the drive, personally, is pretty perfect, to be totally honest with you. It's a car for fun. So this car's prime objective and prime purpose, and the thing it does absolutely best, is put a smile on your face. Yes, it can put in lap times, but then again, if you want to put in lap times, you go and buy an actual track car. This is a road car which you can take to track days. And track days, you know, they're not about racing, it's a fun day. That's what track days are all about. This does it absolutely perfectly. There's not many cars that put such a smile on the face, I find. And the noise when you... This is just... something wrong with you. You actually have something wrong with you, because I cannot imagine how this just wouldn't make anyone smile. It's just so much fun, and you can use almost all of it almost most of the time. Obviously when there's traffic and there's people around, be careful, Christ, you know you don't want to hurt anyone, but when there's no one around on country roads, oh my god, it's an absolute masterpiece. It really, really is. It is such a masterpiece. And it's a shame that they won't be able to make cars that probably sound like this anymore for the same sort of money. I mean, I know the new GT4 RS, that apparently sounds amazing. By all accounts, it sounds absolutely incredible. But try and get one. I know I have. I can't get one. So cars like this, I don't know if they're going to make them so much anymore. Cars which sound like this specifically, I'm not entirely sure they're going to make them anymore. The closest thing to this car is an M2, in my opinion, or an Alpine A110, or an Alpine, whatever you call it, who cares. But it's not available with a manual. If you really want a manual, which I do, it's not available with one. And it does not sound like this. I was actually on track at Anglesey in December, and a chap turned up with his Alpine A110. And he said, yeah, it's absolutely amazing, love it. Doesn't like the way it sounds. And that's such a big part of a car for me, the way it sounds with the ceramic brakes squeaking. So for me, it's perfect. To me, almost. Change your gear and it'll be fine. Thanks for watching. If you've got this far, thank you so much. This year I'd like to do some YouTube stuff and put stuff on YouTube because it's really, really enjoyable. There's going to be a lot more track days. There's going to be a lot more sort of open trips and drives. There might even be a Nurburgring trip. Hopefully going to be a Spa trip, another Spa trip, because driving at Spa is just next level. So yeah, this year we're going to get some road trips in, hopefully some European road trips. We're going to do a lot of track days, and we have a new daily coming later on this year. So I'm not going to do anything on the Audi because it is actually that boring. It's a 10-plate diesel. It's really not exciting. But there is a new daily that will be coming, which should tick some excitement boxes. So I'm going to do some bits on that. Maybe mod it a little. It will be rear-wheel drive, which is what we like. So anyway, if you could just click that subscribe button, it's free, might as well do it. Thank you very much. And just click the like button. That would absolutely make my life if you could do that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.